Did Impact Wrestling deliver what they are stating is the best wrestling pay-per-view of 2019? Now, I wouldn't go that far, but from what I seen, it was a damn good show worth 3 hours of your time. We're going to talk about it right here on Off the Script.
This is mine.
Alive with it. People still didn't. So I'm on Twitter on Sunday night. It's around 11 o'clock, 11:05. Impact Wrestling had just ended their Slammiversary show. And I see up and down my timeline the same tweet from several different people who work or wrestle for Impact Wrestling. It was the same tweet that stated, Impact Wrestling just put on the best show of 2019. Didn't come from one person specifically. It didn't come from two people. It came from a large group of people who work or wrestle for Impact Wrestling. So this immediately piqued my interest. I told myself I might have to watch this show. I was already interested in some of the things that Impact was doing for this show, most notably Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard. And I'll talk about that when we talk about the main event and why I think it was the main event and why I think people are kind of overreacting, even though I get where most of you guys who are overreacting are coming from. I was most interested in that, and I watched, and what I got was a damn good fucking show. This was a damn good pay-per-view, and it makes me sit here and wonder, and I'm sure you guys who are Impact Wrestling fans, it makes you guys wonder as well, with how good this show was, why isn't this company having any momentum for itself? Where's the traction for Impact Wrestling? Why are people not talking about Impact Wrestling more than what they should be doing after a show like this? I don't really understand it. I've praised Impact Wrestling here and there. I love their roster. From the top all the way down to the bottom. They know how to use their talent. Don Callis and Scott D'Amore have done an excellent job at bringing out the strengths of several different people. They have done a great job creatively at making these shows feel important. They've done a great job at putting talent on these shows that definitely deserves to be on this show. And the one noticeable absence that I've seen from this Slammiversary show was the fact that Jordynne Grace was nowhere to be found on this show. That goes to show you how Impact is really wanting to push other stars and not really focus on one and one alone. I thought that was actually very good. Not everybody needs to be on these shows. Not everybody deserves to be on these shows. I'm not saying Jordynne Grace doesn't deserve to be on a show like this. I think she absolutely does. She's one of the best female performers right now in the United States. But it goes to show you that their revolving door of talent and them utilizing their talent and putting talent in certain positions and making them shine over, you know, the talent that you expect to be on the show. I think it's great. I think it's great. What we got was a show that many of you probably kind of shrugged your shoulders at. And at the end of the 3 hours, I can honestly say that I was very entertained. And the second half of the show, much better than the first half of the show, was headlined by a damn good fucking main event. And now you know why Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard are, in my eyes, two of the top talents, not only in Impact Wrestling, but in the entire United States when it comes to pro wrestling. They are damn good at what they do. Impact delivered. If you didn't see the show, go out and watch it. 3 hours, well worth your time. Gonna go over the show, what I thought, the highlights, and all that good stuff right here on Off the Script. I am JD. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here today. I apologize. Usually the pay-per-views go out, or the pay-per-view reviews go out after the shows are over on Sunday night. I waited, and here we are on Tuesday, so you guys got an extra off the script for you guys this week. If you guys are new around here, I don't usually cover Impact. I am mainly WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, heavy into the AEW stuff, whether it's their major shows, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen coming up. I'm going to be doing the Evolve show. I'm going to be doing AEW Weekly Television. I don't typically do Impact and New Japan and anything else because WWE takes up so much of my time. But when it's a show like this and it's, really talked about, I want to dive into it, being that I know the talent working from, where I work in House of Glory. Some of the talent has come through the House of Glory doors, and what I know of the talent just outside of House of Glory. I needed to watch this show, so don't get used to me covering Impact, but when it's a show like this, I want to give you guys something a little different, even though you might not be into Impact Wrestling. I thought this was a good show, like I said, and well worth your time. But if you guys want to subscribe and you are new around here, and you have not done so, please do so. Hit that subscribe button down below, and turn on that bell for all notifications. Weekly podcasts every single week, Monday through Sunday. We got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, like I said. We got some extras when there's late-breaking news. And we got our flagship podcast, Off the Script, which takes place every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, JD from NY206. That is both Twitter and Instagram, like I said. And if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. You guys get early access to all my shows. You guys get the audio format of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Any late-breaking news videos, which we call Off the Script Extra here on the channel. And we got some video game content coming up in the next couple of weeks, as well as I'm bringing back a beloved favorite for the channel, Mario. So we're going to be doing Super Mario Maker 2 because everybody loves when I rage, and why the fuck not, right? So there you go. So you guys are going to get a bunch of different things, and hopefully you are entertained by that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed this week. The influence of Paul Heyman on Raw was not what you really thought it was. I go over it. Class is in session, goons, because some people just don't know. That's part one. Roman Reigns says AEW's not competition. What drugs is he on? I'd love to know who his dealer is. Of course it's competition, you fucking idiot. So we go over that in part two. And finally, we got a reason why Sasha Banks and Bayley lost the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. And you can see the Bella twins are pictured there. You could put that equation together and figure it out quite easily. Go check that out. Make sure you check all the videos that you might have missed during the week. Links are in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of the screen. The podcast is brought to you by Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Audible's been a fine friend of the podcast for over 3 years. And they want to give you 30 days of their service and one free audio book of your choice just for signing up. This is what you got to do. It's very simple. Pick up your phone, whether it's an iPhone or Android device. You're going to go to that particular service's store. You're going to download the Audible app for free. You're going to use our unique link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. You're going to go through the sign-up process. You will not be billed at all. And then you're going to get 30 days from Audible for their service for absolutely free. And as a thank you for signing up using our link, they're going to give you one free audiobook of your choice. You guys have over 200,000 choices to choose from, a lot of which are wrestling related, like you see there, being that this is a wrestling podcast. Best thing is, if you guys feel like Audible's not for you, or you don't like Audible for any reason, you just want to sign up to merely support the podcast, you guys can cancel anytime in the 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. If you guys have already signed up, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell someone at your school, tell someone at the gym. Doesn't matter. Give the gift of Audible. Sign up and support Off the Script using audibletrial.com/offthescript. Was Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2019 the best pay-per-view of 2019? Folks, there's a fine line between being proud, which I know you guys are, because your company had a kick-ass show, There's a fine line between being proud and being factual. There's no way anybody could watch both of these shows back to back and then pick Impact Wrestling. Now listen. Wrestling is a very subjective thing. I know. My opinion is one of the most vile and hated in the entire community because I don't sugarcoat a fucking thing on what I do here. So, when I have my opinion out there to the general public, if it doesn't fit the majority's agenda or narrative, forget about it. It's like my car on Sunday morning with bird shit all over it. But, like I said, there's a fine line between being proud and being factual. There's no way anybody could look at this show and then watch NXT TakeOver New York and say it was the best show of the entire year. No way. Was it damn good? Yes. If you guys want to compile a list of pay-per-views, maybe a top 10 at the end of 2019 and put this show in the top 10, I wouldn't even bat an eye. Great. I agree with you. I'll go out on a limb and say this. Not better than TakeOver New York, but if you want to, I would say, compare it to the majority of WWE main roster pay-per-views, maybe outside Money in the Bank. I don't even know which WWE pay-per-view was the best of the year. They're all fucking terrible. I don't even remember half of them. But Money in the Bank is the one that sticks out for whatever reason. Outside of Money in the Bank, I would say it's better than the majority of WWE pay-per-views for the main roster, Raw and SmackDown. So there you go. I just gave you 2 cents. But this show was very good. It was a very good show. I wouldn't call it the best show of 2019. And the one thing I liked about this show was that it was direct. It was in your face. The flow of the show was nice. Commentary wasn't all that bad, even though I still can't wrap my head around Josh Matthews. I really can't. But that's neither here or there. But the one thing I liked about the show was the match order. Nobody realizes how imperative match order is to a pay-per-view. They got it right on this show. From the top of the card all the way down to the very first match. They got it right. And yes, some people are complaining on social media. What else is fucking new? That Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan did not belong in the main event over the World Heavyweight Championship of Impact Wrestling. I am going to talk about that when we get to that part of the show, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. And you should be proud that they put those two on in the main event, even though Brian Cage and Michael Elgin delivered a fucking great match. You should be proud of what Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard did in that match. And there's, to me, it might not be the same to you, but there's a symbolic meaning after that match was over. There was a symbolic meaning when that show was over as to why those two were put in the main event. And we'll talk about it. I don't want to skip around. I want to start at the top with the Fatal 4-Way. We had the show open up with Willie Mack defeating Jake Crist, TJP, and Trey Miguel. If you lined up Trey Miguel and Ricochet in, I would say, one of them fucking police scenarios where you gotta pinpoint the fucking robber or the murderer in a criminal line at the police station, the only thing that's gonna stand out as a noticeable difference is the size of both individuals. Trey Miguel is Ricochet Jr. He looks like Ricochet. He moves like Ricochet. His ring attire is very Ricochet inspired. This is Impact's version of Ricochet. Trey Miguel. Fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. TJP, I'm happy to see TJP. What a waste of talent WWE did with this guy. A waste of talent. They wasted this guy's time. After the Cruiserweight Classic, the guy was dead in the water. They didn't know what to do with him. I'm glad to see him get a new lease on life in Impact Wrestling because he is too good at what he does to be in the WWE and not really be appreciated. It might not be a situation where he's everybody's cup of coffee. He might be too small to some. He might be the vanilla midget. But damn, can the guy fucking work. Jake Crist, I love OVE. I think they're great. I'd love to see them in NXT, but that's a different story. I think they would own NXT. And Willie Mack is one of my favorites, just dating back to his time in Lucha Underground. Guy is absolutely amazing. At the size he is, what he can do is phenomenal. I don't know why he's not at the top of the card. I know he was competing for the Lucha Underground Championship on several different occasions. Impact Wrestling should really think about possibly putting Willie Mack at the top of the card. He's that good. And I think he could really get over as far as that fan base goes. TJP had a great early going in this match. Some flashy offense, as we know from TJP. He gets slapped in the face and a standing moonsault by Mac. I don't want to be slapped by Mac at all, just like I wouldn't want to take a fucking knife-edge chop from Roderick Strong. No way. No thank you. There were a lot of different moves. It was all over the place between all four guys. There was a lot of combination moves between all four men in this match. Everybody got involved. I don't usually like the overly spotty matches. I don't like these fatal four-ways where it's nothing but spot after spot after spot after spot, and there's really no story there. It's not that the pacing is bad. It's just, it's tough to get involved in whatever they're trying to tell. Doesn't mean it wasn't a good match. It's just all over the place, and it is what it is at the end of the match. Now, there was a spot in this match that was absolutely phenomenal. TJP, I believe, had Trey Miguel in a surfboard. And we had Jay Christ come in. And if you guys hear that in the background, somebody's moving fucking trash pails because I hate fucking everybody that lives around me. I hear everything. TJP had Trey Miguel in a surfboard or bow and arrow, one of those maneuvers. I don't remember what it was. And Jay Christ came in like a weasel and tried to pin during this move. Willie Mack decided, you know what, fuck you all, I'm going to the top rope. While the surfboard was being applied and Jay Christ went for the pin, Willie Mack decides to jump off the top rope and do a double foot stomp, breaking up this entire combination of maneuvers going on here with TJP, Trey Miguel, and Jay Christ. Unbelievable stuff. So that was that was probably the best spot of the entire match, one of the best spots of the entire night. Christ then power slammed Miguel into the corner for a 2 count. Christ hit Mac with the Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Mac picked up the win with a big frog splash on Jay Christ. And then that was pretty much it. I thought this was great. And to be honest with you, it's the right match that opened the show. It was the perfect match to open the show. Got the crowd going. Fatal 4-way. Spot fest. You know, that high-octane action. Great way to open the show. Not really anything overly memorable. Or like Josh Matthews said, this is going to be the one biggest talking point out of everything this weekend as far as sports are related. No, Mr. Matthews. No, Mr. Matthews. It was good for what it was, and it was a great way to open the show. Willie Mack defeats Jay Christ, TJP, and Trey Miguel. Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships. This is a triple threat match. And seeing that's in my notes, we had the Fatal 4-Way, we had the triple threat here for the tag team titles, we had the Monsters Ball match with the women. A lot of multi-person matches on this show. I am okay with one multi-person match, but when we start dipping into the pool of 2, 3 multi-person matches, then you're kind of thinking, well, they're just doing it just to get everybody on the show, and I'm not really a big fan of a lot of the matches on these shows being multi-person matches. I like a story. I like a good story in the middle of the ring. But this one wasn't all that exciting as a triple threat match either. This was not like the usual LAX matches that we've seen. The North retain the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships here by defeating LAX and the Rascals. I love LAX. When you think of Impact Wrestling, you think of LAX, Santana and Ortiz. They are an Impact Wrestling staple. They put tag team wrestling on the map in 2018 and on into 2019 with what they did with many teams, no matter who it was, but most notably the Lucha Brothers in Impact Wrestling. Now, there was a Bash at the Brewery event on Friday night. The North defeated LAX in a regular 2-on-2 match and became the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And a lot of people were wondering why they did that move and made that decision there. Well, I mentioned this on Off the Script. LAX is gone. LAX is no longer going to be with Impact Wrestling. They are moving on to bigger and better things, whether it's NXT or whether it's AEW. I don't know yet. I got my assumptions. I mentioned on my podcast that I think they're going to be elite. Why not? I think if they go to WWE, it's right now uncharted waters. Nobody knows what's going to happen with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. And if they go to NXT, they will be treated like the Undisputed Era is being treated. They're going to go to NXT and be treated like fucking kings down there because they get tag team wrestling down there. They go to the main roster. They get put on Raw and SmackDown and they be given to Vince McMahon. Forget about it. They be dancing in line with No Way Jose. They be in the conga line. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that whatsoever. So I think they're going to be with All Elite Wrestling. Because look at that tag team division over there. The amount of talent that they could go up against in AEW is vast. And they got the best tag team division right now on paper in all of pro wrestling. So the North beat LAX on Friday, which was a good move because they had to drop the titles. And they dropped the titles on Friday instead of doing it on Saturday. And instead we got the North beating LAX and the Rascals here. And we got an injury angle to not really have LAX lose 2 nights in a row, but to keep them looking decent at the end of the night. This was very short. The North wins here, and it was all on a move that took Santana out of commission. So we get Alexander doing a moonsault slam from the top rope on Desmond, which was beautiful. I love the North. I think they are a great-looking tag team. Ethan Page and Alexander are great together. So I hope that Impact Wrestling knows what they're doing with who they have to feud the North against, because these guys are very good, and I see them as really, really, really great replacements to take over the top spot from LAX. So we get Alexander doing that moonsault slam from the top rope. Very, very nice. That should have been the finish, honestly. That was a great spot. Kicks out. Santana gets injured on the outside of the ring. I don't remember what happened to Santana, but he was rolled out to the outside of the ring, and there was a doctor and several officials there, and Ortiz was in the middle of the ring all by himself. The Rascals were taken out of commission. The North ended up getting the win, and that was pretty much it. So LAX was taken out of this match via a injury, quote-unquote, and they played up the fact that Santana was previously injured, and they just kind of turned that into the storyline here. I'm not sure how long LAX has on their Impact Wrestling contracts, but as far as what I know, they are up in August. I'm not sure if they're going to continue using them in Impact Wrestling until the month of August. I'm not sure, but LAX dropped the titles because they are moving on, whether it's NXT or AEW, that remains to be seen. But this was not like any other LAX match that I've seen. This was very ordinary. Nothing really stood out here. The North gets the win and retains the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championships. But like I said, I'm giving my seal of approval to the North. I think they're going to be fine replacements to take over the throne for Impact Wrestling as Tag Team Champions. Eddie Edwards defeated Killer Kross in a first blood match. Now, I don't watch Impact Wrestling, but I kind of got the gist of this entire thing. Killer Kross is great. I love his look. He came out dressed as a sadistic priest on Slammiversary. He had the collar, face paint. He looked like something out of that movie, The Nun. Not sure if you guys seen that movie, that scary movie, The Nun, which was fucking terrible. But he looked like something out of a horror movie. And it really translated well to what he wanted to do here. The entire thing with Eddie Edwards is he's the new version. He's the Impact version of Tommy Dreamer. So he's got the kendo stick. Kendo stick was broken by Killer Kross. The Sandman of all fucking people, ECW Sandman, comes out and bestows him a new kendo stick. And that was pretty much it. Killer Kross and Eddie Edwards were going back and forth on Impact TV. And here we are. He got gifted a new kendo stick after Killer Kross broke his old kendo stick named Kenny. Sandman gave him a new kendo stick. And we got this match here, which is a first blood match. I don't remember the last time I've seen a first blood match, but commentary made a mention of it. Very controversial match. It's not really done all that often. And it played well into the story that they were trying to tell here. And I love the ending. Killer Kross is great. I expect him to be at the top of the card this year for Impact Wrestling. If not, they're doing things wrong. Kross hits a huge slam on Eddie Edwards on the apron pretty early. Edwards was fighting back. He was on the defensive for a good portion of this match. Cross just methodically destroying Eddie Edwards, who, like I mentioned, is Impact Wrestling's version of Tommy Dreamer. Edwards tried to go for a Blue Thunder Bomb. Couldn't do it. His back was hurt. Killer Kross was working on his back. He got maybe a half of a Blue Thunder Bomb. It didn't even look like a Blue Thunder Bomb to me, but that's what the commentary said he was trying to do. I love the Blue Thunder Bomb. Sami Zayn does a beautiful one. I wish he would finish people off with it. One of my favorite moves in all of pro wrestling. I think it's just a beautiful thing to look at. So he tried to get, quote-unquote, a Blue Thunder Bomb. Couldn't do it completely. Eddie went for the cane. He tried to hit Kross in the head. Kross applies the cross arm. They end up outside. Edwards lands a sick tiger driver on the floor. On the mats, but on the floor nonetheless. Edwards breaks Kenny in half. So he has this new kendo stick that Sandman gave him. Or I believe Kross made a broke out kendo stick and he got a new kendo stick. Whatever the case may be, he's got a new version of Kenny. Kenny 2.0. And he breaks the kendo stick in half. And he stabs Kross in the face with the broken kendo stick. It looked like, because they didn't get the camera angle completely right on this, it looked like Edwards jammed the broken shards of the kendo stick, or the ends of the kendo stick, down Kross's throat. And when the referee stopped the match, Kross was spitting up blood. He had blood seeping from his lips, blood on his chest. A lot of red in this one, folks. A lot of blood in this one. Eddie Edwards wins here. I thought this was fine for what it was. Not really a big fan of the whole ECW vibe that they're going on with Eddie Edwards. I'm not even really a big fan of the fact that they're bringing back RVD, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, Sabu of all fucking people. That fucking idiot with his recent tweets, tweet and delete. But whatever the case may be, this was fine for what it was. Not really a big fan of the whole ECW thing that they got going on here in Impact Wrestling, but Eddie Edwards defeats Killer Kross in a first blood match. Love the ending. Really kind of fit into the overall storyline arch that they were trying to tell here. And the kendo stick jamming down Kross's throat. Quite the fitting end for a first blood match. Like I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the ECW revival here in Impact Wrestling. Hopefully it's just one of these temporary things. Moose! When you talk about someone who should be at the top of the card, someone who I really didn't have any liking to, I thought he was kind of overrated. I remember WWE passed on him for NXT for whatever reason. I think there might have been some criminal charge against him, or kind of some kind of iffy situation going on with him, and WWE kind of passed on Moose. I think that was a mistake in the long run, because Moose, the more I see Moose, the more I am impressed by Moose. I love the gimmick he plays. I love how he carries himself. I love the charisma, or his brand of charisma. I love the fact that he thinks he's better than everybody else, and he's damn fucking good. He has every right to feel that way. Have you ever seen Moose throw a dropkick? A guy that size throwing a picture-perfect like dropkick is a thing of beauty. Moose is athletic. I know he played football, but to see him progress in the times that I've seen him wrestle, going back to when I watched him main event against Austin Aries, when Austin Aries was a part of Impact Wrestling and was the world champion. He was vying for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. I wasn't a big fan of what he did then. To see him now, I think he's come a long way. And I think Moose should be at the top of the card with Willie Mack, Sammy, and whoever else they want to put at the top of the card. Johnny Impact, he's been there. Brian Cage. Those are top-tier guys in Impact Wrestling. Moose should be there. Moose should be competing for a world championship. RVD, he cut a promo before the match started. He looked like he was stoned out of his mind. And then trying to explain whatever he was talking about with Melissa Santos. But he looked high as a kite. And Moose attacks RVD from behind as the match starts. RVD does a tope con hilo over the top rope. That gets RVD chance. He pandered to the crowd doing the RVD whole fucking show type deal, which was fun when I was watching ECW back when I was in high school. Not so much now as I am in 2019. It's like we went into the fucking time warp back into when I was a freshman in high school. RVD was my favorite wrestler. Loved RVD. Now, he was in front of the crowd. He was audibly heard saying, "This is why I do this. This is why I do this. I love doing it. I do it for you," meaning the crowd. And RVD continues his assault on Moose, hits a Hurricane Rana and a cannonball. Moose cuts RVD off, and there's a little offense there on Moose's behalf. RVD goes for a split-legged moonsault. Moose follows up with a go to hell. They do a bunch of strikes, trading back and forth. And this match was really, really, really slow. Too slow for my liking. I don't know if it was more on just RVD not really able to keep up with Moose, being that he's almost 50, or it was, this is the way Moose really works a match. I don't know. But either way you look at it, I thought the match was too slow for my liking. The kicks from RVD, DDT. He gets Moose with those, and he goes for a cover, only a 2 count. Moose punches RVD in the penis, and then the refs keep him from using a chair. Ref is standing there watching RVD with a chair. Referee didn't take the chair. He allowed RVD to get a fucking Van Terminator on Moose. RVD eats a chair, and then a frog splash, gets pinned after a no jackhammer needed. And everybody was saying on social media after this thing was over that this was one of the best RVD matches that they've seen in a very long time. I didn't see anything special from this at all. In fact, this was the worst match of the entire night, if you ask me. This was by far the worst match of the entire night, and Moose doesn't deserve that. I don't know what the fuck RVD is doing back wrestling. I don't know what Impact thinks they're going to get out of RVD. I think RVD needs to go back doing what he was doing before wrestling, before this comeback in 2019. He's doing absolutely nothing for me if this is what he's been doing for Impact Wrestling. Loved him to death in ECW. The fact that he's almost 50, bro, I think it's time to hang up the boots. Moose wins. Not really much to that match whatsoever. Monsters Ball. Monsters Ball. This one was with Taya, Su Yung, Havoc, and Rosemary. Taya retains her Impact Women's Championship. So, with these Impact pay-per-views, they do a lot of these gimmick matches, which is fine. But, out of all the Impact pay-per-views that I've seen, I feel like they rely too much on, like, death matches, and no DQ matches, and Monsters Ball matches, and First Blood matches, a jungle, whatever the fuck match that they had with LAX at Bound for Glory against the OGs, that where they had the fucking ring mat pulled up and was nothing but the boards of the ring. What a concrete jungle match. I think Impact relies too heavily on these gimmick matches for these pay-per-views, and I don't necessarily think they need to go that route. I feel like they think they need to kind of generate some sort of buzz, but how many gimmick matches could they do before it starts to get old? That's the way I see it. Now, this was a great match. I don't give a shit what I just stated. This was a great match. This was probably one of the best women's matches I've seen all year. Taya is great. Su Yung, Havoc, Rosemary complemented this entire match beautifully. Taya, at one point, staples Su Yung with a staple gun. She took out an Impact flyer for the pay-per-view, I think it was. I couldn't really see. She staples this Impact flyer to Su Young's forehead. Now, I don't know how long this shit has been going on, but I know that Impact did this underworld shit with Kiera Hogan and Allie before Allie showed up in AEW. Not for me. I think it's cheesy garbage. Now, it fits into the whole shtick that Su Yung and Rosemary are doing, but when I watch a wrestling show, you know, it's okay in doses, but when it's every single feud that these women are in, kind of gets old. That's just the way I see it. Taya, great. I love Taya. I think she's great. Havoc, first time I'm actually seeing Havoc in Impact Wrestling, being that I don't watch Impact Wrestling. I know she was with House of Glory for a couple matches, teaming with Sonya Strong. She looked great. She looked dominating in this match. Taya does an inverted code red on Havoc onto a ladder that she brought into the match a little bit before this. Ladder looked brutal spot. Havoc actually took more than her fair share of nasty bumps in this match, which you got to give it to her. All these women killed themselves for our enjoyment. So that was an inverted code red on Havoc by Taya. Rosemary superplexes Su Yung onto the ladder. That was absolutely devastating. You know these women are going to be feeling it the next day. Taya then surfboard stomps. Let me backtrack. There were thumbtacks brought into this match. Only one pouch of thumbtacks. Not like Jon Moxley doing two packs of thumbtacks and then fucking atomic dropping Joey Janela feet first into the thumbtacks, which I still have nightmares about from Fyter Fest. Couldn't pay me all the money in the fucking world to do that spot or this spot. There were thumbtacks brought into the ring. I don't remember who brought the thumbtacks in. It might have been Rosemary or Havoc. Not sure. But Taya has Rosemary, and she's got her by her arms, and she almost, as if she wanted to curb stomp her. She pulled back on Rosemary's arms and stomped her face into the thumbtacks. Su Yung then tried for the pin on Rosemary after this thumbtack spot. Havoc pulls Rosemary off. Now, they're with James Mitchell. James Mitchell set up this entire Monsters Ball match. He's on the outside of the ring representing Havoc and Su Yung. This unholy alliance is what they said on commentary. They get into it because it's for the Women's Championship. Why not? Every woman for himself. So, Su Yung tries to spit mist at Havoc and unintentionally spits red mist into James Mitchell's face. He goes down on the outside. Taya then takes out Rosemary with a side effect through a table that was set out on the outside. Havoc and Su Yung are back in the ring together. Now, Su Yung used the mandible claw earlier in the match on Havoc. So Su Yung is dragging Havoc over to the top rope. And she's climbing up to the top rope because Havoc is a monster of a woman. And she gets the mandible claw on Havoc as she sits on the top rope. Now, Havoc, trying to position herself away from this mandible claw, is climbing the top rope herself. She climbs up to the second turnbuckle. Su Yung still has the mandible claw applied. Havoc, being much stronger than Su Yung, takes Su Yung off of the top rope and counters the mandible claw. Remember the tacks down below? Oh, they're still there. Havoc reverses the mandible claw and tombstones Su Yung off the second rope into the thumbtacks. Yes, it's visually what the fuck. You gotta go watch it for yourself. Thumbtacks sticking in both women. Taya on the outside, who just went through a table with a side effect, Matt Hardy style, through the table on the outside. She comes in out of nowhere with a steel chair. Havoc went for the pin. She blasts Havoc in the head with a steel chair, pins Havoc, and retains the Women's Championship in what I thought was a great hardcore match. Monsters Ball, Taya retains the title. All of these women deserve an extra dose of fucking pay on top of what they earned. They killed it. And this was a great match, one of the best matches of the entire night here at Slammiversary. X Division Championship. This is where things really start to pick up for the pay-per-view. It's the first match that was okay. Then we went into the Tag Team Championship match, which was a letdown in my eyes. Then the First Blood match, which was alright. It was okay for what it was. So, we go from that to the Moose match with RVD. Very iffy after the first hour and 20 minutes of this pay-per-view. Where this pay-per-view really shined is with the Monsters Ball match all the way up until the pay-per-view. This is where we really start to get things going here with the pay-per-view. X Division Championship, Rich Swann defeated Johnny Impact with his boy, Johnny Bravo. I love both guys. Rich Swann is actually going to be at the House of Glory High Intensity 8 show. He was just announced for a special 6-way match, which I can't reveal the contents of yet, but we got a new championship coming up. New championship being created. The House of Glory, Rich Swann is going to be a part of that on August 9th. I love Rich Swann. I was rather disappointed that he was released by WWE. I thought Rich Swann would have fit perfect on any brand. I loved him in the Cruiserweight Classic. I loved his story. I've been a big fan of Johnny Mundo since his days in M&M in WWE. I've always loved Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, whatever you want to call him. I have hope that one day we would see him back in NXT or back in WWE. I think the guy's too talented to really limit himself to just sticking with Impact Wrestling, or maybe that's what he wants to do. for the majority of his career, for the entirety of his career. I'd love to see him in NXT. I could see Johnny Impact or Johnny NXT, whatever you want to call him, absolutely kill it with Johnny Gargano or an Adam Cole or a Roderick Strong or Matt Riddle, guys like that, Keith Lee. I'd love to see it. Seems to be doing good in Impact Wrestling, but I'd love to see him in NXT when all is said and done. Love both of these guys. I expected a lot from this match. Started off slow. Really didn't start out the way I expected it to start out. Some athleticism from both guys in the beginning. Johnny Bravo is on the outside. He's with Impact, fanning off Johnny Impact, and he's wiping his abs of sweat early on. Great towel boy was Johnny Bravo. Match got underway again, so Impact was kind of toying with Rich Swann, playing up the heel role. Match got underway when Impact wanted, and Bravo, on the outside, away from the camera, collected some of the thumbtacks that were still around ringside area from the Monsters Ball women's match. Hands them to Johnny Impact, and he uses these, does Impact, to kind of stall the match. He's stopping the match to take advantage of Rich Swann. So Impact then crouches Swann on the top rope, delivers a springboard enziguri. Lots of slow heel work from Impact in this match, like I said. Really didn't get off to a start that I expected. I expected full, high-octane Johnny Impact and Rich Swann here for the X Division Championship. We didn't get that. It was a slow, methodical match with Impact playing up the heel role. Bravo on the outside playing cheerleader. Seeing how we got two of the most athletic guys in the business, like I said, I expected something else. Swann lands a great DDT and a corkscrew standing moonsault that looked absolutely amazing, followed by a flipping cannonball dive over the top. Swann then goes for a top rope Macho Man-like elbow drop, connects. Johnny soon after connects with his variation of the Razor's Edge, which he calls the Johnny's Edge. But it's not really a standard Razor's Edge like Scott Hall used to do. Only difference is it's a spinning Razor's Edge into what looked to be a side slam. So there you go. Johnny went for a springboard, ate a European uppercut from Swann in the ring. Both men up top on the third rope. They punch each other down to the floor outside. Bravo again, fanning Impact on the outside. Hope he got some extra incentive for all of his great work on the outside. Bravo. And he helps Impact, does Bravo, back in the ring in an 8 count. But the announcers, I'm glad they made mention of it. Swann is on the outside and he's rolling Impact back into the ring. Can't win the title on a countout. And Josh Matthews, I'm glad that he actually said something, was all a moot point anyway. So there you go. I like that attention to detail. Impact in the ring hits a Spanish fly off the top and then a second one, a standing Spanish fly in the ring. So he did one off the top rope, came back down, got Swann back up, did another standing Spanish fly in the ring. Love it. And I love Johnny Impact. He's great. Swann dives off the top rope. Swann dives over the top onto Bravo off of an Irish whip from Impact. He jumps over the top rope to the outside to take Bravo out. Impact then dives outside himself, misses the dive, and hits the hardwood floor as Swann moves out of the way. Impact jumps back in the ring and delivers another enziguri to Swann. Impact then with Starship Pain couldn't finish Swann off. Swann kicks out. Swann with several shots to Impact, 2 cutters, wins with his Phoenix Splash, and that is it. Rich Swann retains the X Division Championship. From everything else that was on the show, the middle to the end of this match was the best shit that I've seen on this show so far. So far! This was great. I thought this was a great match. Rich Swann wins, and I love both guys, and there you go. Great showing for both Rich Swann and Johnny Impact. Brian Cage and Michael Elgin for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. Why did this match go on next to last? Why did Sami and Tessa main event Slammiversary? I honestly think from what I've been paying attention to and what I've seen, not only does Impact have Tessa and Sami in probably the most newsworthy story going into Slammiversary, but it also is going to make headlines, and it's the one match that's going to make headlines more so than anything else. For a company that needs any type of momentum that they could gather and muster up, they made the right decision to put that match on in the main event. I don't know why people are complaining that that match main evented over the World Championship. I pictured this in the same way I envisioned Aleister Black being the NXT champion. When he was NXT champion, how many pay-per-views did Aleister Black pay-per-view main event? He didn't. He didn't main event any pay-per-view with what Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were doing. NXT put that match on over the world title every chance that they got, until the world title was given to that particular feud. That was the biggest thing on their television. Sami and Tessa was the biggest thing on their television. NXT didn't need to do that. They didn't need to put Ciampa and Gargano in the main event, but they did. Aleister Black was going up against the likes of Lars Sullivan. He didn't really have any newsworthy or noteworthy defenses with that title. Then he got hurt. When he came back, he was hotter than ever. And then that's when the world title was in the main event. Because Ciampa and Johnny were greater than the NXT title at that point. It's a rare occurrence that happens. I don't like when the world title is not in the main event. 10 times out of 10, the world title needs to be in the main event. But there's always that 1%, 99% of the time, you'll see it done the right way. Or a company treat the world title the way it should be treated. But there's always that 1% where it's okay to let the world title be a co-main event. I don't think this feud with Elgin and Cage was ever going to be as hot as Tessa and Sami, just based on the overall feeling of that match. And like I said, the most important thing is, with a company that is absolutely desperate for any type of attention, are you going to go with this match over that match, an intergender match with Sami and Tessa? I don't think so. But you know what? I don't know what you guys are complaining about. Because Brian Cage and Michael Elgin, they said, well, you're not going to put us on in the main event. Well, fuck you to everybody else. Because this match, absolutely, by the time this match was over, there's no doubt in my mind that if you put this on in the main event, this would have been a no doubt about it worthy main event. But a company that is so desperate for attention right now, you needed to put Sami and Tessa in that main event. This was fantastic. Impact's world title match, Brian Cage versus Michael Elgin. Brian Cage retains in a great match. These guys had my attention for all 15 minutes. Cage and his back was heavily targeted early by Michael Elgin. Early on, Cage hit a dive over the top rope, landed on his feet. A guy that size with that type of athleticism is scary in a good way. Elgin takes control quickly again with some vicious lariats on Brian Cage, followed up by a monster superplex. These two guys are 280, 270, 280. Coming down with a superplex from both of these guys, you can imagine the impact that it had. Great. More work on Cage's back by Elgin, including a dive into the steel barricade, or driving his back into the steel barricade, I should say. Elgin took Brian Cage and drove his back into the steel barricade, slamming him onto the ring apron with a Uranagi. Elgin misses a twisting senton dive over the top rope, buying Cage some time. Cage then comes back with a DDT and a 619. Again, a guy like Brian Cage doing fucking what he does, dives over the top rope, 619. It's like he's a fucking cruiserweight. 619 by Cage. Followed up by a pump handles face slam on Elgin for a 2 count. Elgin, this guy is scary strong. He manages to deadlift powerbomb Cage, followed by mocking Cage and his Terminator clap as he takes off his elbow pad, and then does a crazy crucifix bomb where Brian Cage literally bounced up. His body bounced up off the mat. Buckle bomb by Elgin. Cage bounces back with a clothesline, turns Elgin inside out with a lariat. These two at this point are literally beating the shit out of one another with a series of kicks. Crazy counters led to a mid-air Canadian destroyer on Brian Cage by Michael Elgin, based off the size of both of these guys. Just picture it. I'm pretty sure you're asking yourself, how the fuck? Yeah, I said the same thing. Elgin has Cage up in a torture rack. He escapes. Cage with a power bomb. F5. Elgin kicks out. Stiff forearm from Elgin. Reversal into a leverage sunset flip pin. And Brian Cage with a leverage sunset flip pin retains the title in a great match that could have absolutely main evented this show. Elgin attacks Cage with the world title after the referee hands him the world title. Attacks Cage with the world title. Then he goes out to commentary with the world title. He attacks Don Callis at ringside, throws him into the ring, and sets up Don Callis for an Elgin bomb. A masked man jumps the barricade, comes into the ring, and spears Michael Elgin. This was very familiar. The masked man hid nothing from anybody watching or live in the audience. The crowd knew who it was immediately, just by the form of the spear and his body language and what he did in the ring. Crowd chanted, "Gore!" The masked man runs off into the crowd. Rhino said in an interview with Chris Van Vliet recently that his contract expires on July 17th, 2019 with WWE. Rhino was the masked man here, goring Elgin to save Don Callis. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky Impact. As I record this, it is July 8th, Monday. You guys will be seeing this on Tuesday. It's not July 17th. What can WWE do? What could WWE do here? He's on his way out. He's got another week or so, week and a half on his WWE contract. But sneaky, sneaky, sneaky Impact. You think putting a guy in a mask when we all know it's Rhino is going to say, oh, well, he never showed up at the show? That's what I want to know. How the fuck he's with another company on their pay-per-view here, goring Michael Elgin when he's still under contract with WWE? I don't know. But it's typical Impact. I guess they're going to sweep this one under the rug as if it never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. Rhino? Who's that? You talking about the rhinoceroses at the zoo? Sure. Rhino is with Impact Wrestling apparently. And the best thing about it is, WWE, he told Chris Van Vliet, they offered him double the amount of money to stay so that he wouldn't go anywhere else. Rhino says he has years on his wrestling career that he wants to, live out. He doesn't want to be stuck not doing anything. He wants to use those years to finish out his career. He wants to use those years to teach and mold new talent that he might have his eye on, whether it's for WWE, Impact Wrestling, wherever. He wants to teach. And that's the great thing about this. The great thing about it is no amount of money could keep Rhino from staying with the WWE just out of comfort. It's not all about the money, folks. It's not all about the money. Rhino clearly proved that. No matter how much money WWE is paying him to just sit around and just be another number on their list of employees, he said, no, I want to go out there and actively do what I want to do. I'm going to take a pay cut, and I'm going to live my life the way I want to. By that, I respect that. That's a respectable human being right there. July 17th, though. I see you, Impact. I didn't expect anything less from Impact Wrestling. Intergender match. Main event. Sami Callihan defeated Tessa Blanchard in what I thought was a fantastic match. I am not one who is into intergender wrestling. And I know Sami and I have butted heads in House of Glory. But I love the fact that this was the main event for the reasons that I stated. They need momentum. They need any type of attention. And hopefully that this main eventing this show, that they put this match on last, I hope that it did what Impact wanted it to do. If I'm starting a wrestling promotion and you give me a list of talent and I only have, I would say, 5 each for the men and 5 each for the women. Keep it simple. If you give me a top 5 men to choose and a top 5 women to choose for my own personal roster, Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard are going to be one of those top 5 for my female roster and my men's roster. That's how good they are. When you look at Impact Wrestling right now, who is the face of Impact Wrestling? Who is the face of Impact Wrestling? Brian Cage, to me, is not the face of Impact Wrestling, even though he's the world champion. He's not. When you look at the men's side of things on Impact Wrestling, who is the face of this company? LAX is done. LAX was that face of Impact Wrestling. Not anymore. Depending on where they go, they're done. Who is the face of Impact Wrestling? Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan is so fucking good at what he does. And from what I know of him, don't want to blow his spot here, one of the nicest guys you could talk to, very humble, loves the business. He will do anything that you ask of him. He is fucking great at what he does. I've seen people comparing Tessa Blanchard and Charlotte Flair for whatever reason on social media. There's absolutely no comparison whatsoever. WWE can tout Charlotte having 9 title reigns and fucking she's halfway there to her father's fictional reign of world championships. That means nothing to me. I've said this time and time again. You could give her 100 titles. Doesn't matter how many times you held the title. If you give her 100 titles, she lost it 99 fucking times. That doesn't make a good champion to me. It's what you do in that title reign that makes the reign great. I'd rather take one reign for 500 days, like Pete Dunne, over 17 fucking title reigns of Charlotte Flair. I don't give a shit. There's absolutely no comparison between Tessa and Charlotte. Tessa blows Charlotte out of the water in every category, every statistic that you could come up with. There's a reason why this was the main event. Because Sami and Tessa are number 1 in each of their individual divisions. There's no doubt in my mind that Sami, I don't even know why the fuck it's not happening right now. Sami Callihan should be world champion of Impact Wrestling. That's my opinion. Tessa Blanchard's already seen championships in Impact Wrestling. No doubt in my mind she's going to win another one. I don't know how much longer she could be there. That talent is fucking sky's the limit for someone like Tessa Blanchard. I would not be surprised if we see Tessa versus Charlotte at a WrestleMania, and that's not a fucking main event. Fuck Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. You want to make headlines? Then you build Tessa Blanchard up the way that she deserves to be built up, with the talent that that woman possesses, and you put her in the ring with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and you let them go. You let them go. The story tells itself. Who is the best in the world? Both have the family lineage behind them. Holy shit. Holy shit. That's what I consider WrestleMania right there. When it's going to happen, I don't know. Do I expect it to happen? I certainly hope so. This woman's too good to be in Impact Wrestling for the entirety of her career. Why WWE passed on her to begin with, I have no fucking idea. Some sort of internal politics, I don't know. But this was a great main event, worthy of a main event for the reasons that I gave you. These two are great at what they do. I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling, but the way Tessa Blanchard works, she's as stiff as the men are. And if there's someone on that roster that could take what Sami Callihan is going to deliver, Tessa is it. This was great. Both stare down face to face as the match started. Sami does the thumbs up, thumbs down, and Tessa gives Sami the middle finger. Tessa punching away on Sami, followed by 2 suicide dives on the outside. He rolled to the outside. She's like, fuck it. I'm going to pull out my inner Rey Mysterio. Dives to the outside. Tried it once, tried it twice. Great. Third time, not so lucky. Sami catches her, swings her into the barricade, then he delivers a Death Valley driver on the floor outside. Sami back in the ring, gives the middle finger to the crowd because it's Sami. Back in, back out on the opposite end of the ring. Sami powerbombs Tessa on the ring apron. Sami very slow and methodical in his pacing, as if this is going to be a walk in the park for him. He starts screaming at Tessa, I told you this would happen. This is what you get when a woman gets in the ring working with a man. Ooh. How many people were triggered by that line? I love it. This is what happens when a woman gets in the ring with a man. I love it. He throws Tessa on the stage, and then she's there, writhing in pain. And he screams at the fans to the left side of the stage to move, telling everybody to move. He wanted to powerbomb Tessa into the crowd. She reverses it and hits Sami with a cutter on the stage. Tessa starts punching Sami. He starts no-selling it. They're back in the ring at this point. He then yells at her, "Is that all you got, bitch?" She starts punching him again. Samoan drop from Tessa. She goes up top, goes for the Magnum, misses, rolls through, hits Sami with a tilt-a-whirl DDT. Callihan at this point does a great series of moves, knee to the face, power bomb, and then ends it with an STF on Tessa. She reaches the rope. Sami drags her to the top rope after all this is said and done. Follows up with a code breaker off the second rope, does Tessa. Tessa back elbows the ref accidentally at this point, and Sami cracks Tessa with a baseball bat behind the referee's back while he's down. She kicks out, and Callihan then goes for the pin. A second referee comes out. Referee only counted to 2. Sami beats up the second referee. I guess he didn't like the job he was doing there. So Tessa is back up. Callihan obliterated the second referee. Tessa's getting up. She forearms Sami right in the dick. Because, of course, she has to. Tessa yells out, "Come on, motherfucker!" Then a baseball bat to the stomach. Magnum hits. Sami kicks out. So she hits Sami with her finishing move, and he kicks out. Instead, she applies a modified crossface on Callihan. Callihan counters it into a package pile driver. Blanchard kicks out. So, thumbs up, thumbs down from Blanchard at this point. She just stood there. Callihan wins with a pile driver, and that is it. After all that he did to her, it was just a standard pile driver that did it in the end. I think the package pile driver that he did before that should have ended it, but I'm not the one who booked this match. I'm not the one who produced this match. It's kind of silly after all that she went through that it was merely a standard pile driver that did it. He wins. Sami beats Tessa. Sami, at the end of this thing, Tessa came out during her entrance with a golden baseball bat. She was dressed all in gold. She came out with this gold baseball bat. Sami picks up the bat, hands her her gold baseball bat, and he leaves the ring. And he leaves the ring all to Tessa Blanchard. This is as good as a handshake from Sami Callihan while him remaining in character. He walks away. He does his thumbs up, thumbs down. He panders to the crowd, as a winner should do, and he walks away, leaving the entire ring for Tessa Blanchard. This was a worthy main event for this show. This was a great match. I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling because... I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling for the simple reason. The only reason is because there's not a lot of people that do it right. There's not a lot of people that do it right. If you're going to do intergender wrestling, this is what it needs to be. You need someone who's going to match the physicality on the female side to the guy, to the male. This was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Impact Wrestling, they have done intergender wrestling in the past, and I think they've perfected it with this feud. You're not going to see intergender wrestling on this type of level. Yeah, you're going to see it in the indies. You're going to see it at a random fucking rinky-dink promotion just because it's a marquee match. Oh, it's the males versus the females, right? It's this guy versus a woman. And it's not usually done in this type of manner. This was great. Sami's at the head of his class for his roster, and Tessa is head of her league for her roster on the women's side. This was great. At the end of it all, was it a great pay-per-view? Yes. I would not label this the pay-per-view of 2019 for pro wrestling. That's stretching it a bit. Again, I think TakeOver New York was the best show of the year. That War Raiders match with Ricochet and Aleister Black, one of the best tag team matches all year. Maybe the best tag team match of the entire year. Then you had Matt Riddle versus the Velveteen Dream, which was a damn near 5-star classic in itself. That tag team title match was a 5-star classic. Then we had Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, which was a fucking 6-star match. You know, a card that has 3 5-star matches out of 5. It's tough to top. It's tough to top. Was it the best pay-per-view the entire year? No. Was it a damn good pay-per-view that you need to go out of your way and watch? The second half, absolutely. The first half of the show was not really all that entertaining to me. I was kind of feigning in and out of interest. But as soon as that Monsters Ball match hit, everything from that point on was absolutely a home run for this pay-per-view. Go out and watch it. Do yourself a favor. Impact Wrestling, again, delivers with one of their marquee shows, and I'm actually looking forward to Bound for Glory in Chicago. They announced Bound for Glory is going to be in Chicago in October. Man, is October going to be a busy fucking month. Chicago has Bound for Glory. They have All Out, and they got Survivor Series and TakeOver. Chicago is a pro wrestling destination in 2019. Looking forward to it. You guys for Impact should be happy and proud. But, again, great show. Go out of your way and watch. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much for all your support. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up. I know Impact Wrestling is not usually my main audience cup of coffee, but when a good wrestling pay-per-view happens, I gotta sit here, watch it, enjoy it, and let you guys know that there is good pro wrestling out there, and we don't have to sit here and complain about the main roster of Raw and SmackDown every single week. This was a great show. Go out of your way and watch it. Follow me on social media, at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Once again, that's JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys check out Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. And make sure you guys go out and check all the other videos that you might have missed this week on the channel. Thank you guys so very much. Again, hit that thumbs up. And if you're new around here and enjoyed my take on Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Man, I'll see you guys right back here for SmackDown Live tonight. Eric Bischoff's not in town yet. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Hopefully it's a good show. We got Aleister Black and his mystery opponent for Extreme Rules revealed. Is it going to be Cesaro? Is it going to be a Superman? A Swiss Superman? Or is it going to be the Viper, Randy Orton? We'll find out tonight for SmackDown Live. Thank you guys so very much. Again, hit that thumbs up. And I'll see you guys tonight for the Blue Brand SmackDown Live.